Hey D's fans, welcome to a qualifying final edition of Before the Bounce, proudly brought to you by Beyond Bank, the club's major bank partner. We're going to be previewing all things Brisbane ahead of our big clash on Saturday night, but first we have to talk a little bit about the situation at hand. We were going to shoot this in Adelaide, but because of hotel quarantine, we're here at the Jet Base, and I caught up with GM of Football Operations, Daniel McPherson, a little earlier for an update.
Yeah, it is challenging. It's very exciting at the same time. There's obviously restrictions from the state governments, West Australia and South Australia. So they've capped the travel party. So 75 is the number that we can get into Western Australia, and then we can only take 55 into South Australia. So today we'll all fly out, the party of 75, 20 people, 19 players and one staff member will continue on to Perth straight away. The other 55 will jump off at Adelaide, get the job done tomorrow night, hopefully, and then meet up with the other crew Sunday afternoon in Perth. It's less than ideal, but everyone else is in the same boat. All the other clubs are under the same rules, obviously. So all it means is everyone has to just chip in and do a bit extra than what they normally would do. So we'll be fine. But yeah, it's going to be a full team effort.
The clash at Adelaide Oval will be our third at that venue this year. We're 1-1, but coming off a big win against Port Adelaide, 31 points in round 17. But overall, we have a good record, 4 of the last 5, and there's one player in particular you should look out for. It is Clayton Oliver. He averages 31 disposals, 6 tackles and a goal at this ground. And we caught up with Ed Langdon a little earlier to talk about the advantage of playing at this venue.
Yeah, absolutely. Everyone seems to love the ground, and history would suggest we do play pretty well there. So I think, considering everything, I think it's probably the best option for us. Yeah, bring it on. I mean, everyone's sort of used to dealing with whatever gets thrown at us. So, we dealt with it all last year pretty well, and I've no doubt this year will be the same.
As far as the team goes, well, we are fielding an unchanged 22 from last week's clash against Geelong, and there are some big names in this lineup. We had a successful night on Thursday night at the AFL Awards. 5 All-Australians, Max Gawn for a 5th time and captain. Then Clayton Oliver took out the Coaches Award, and of course Luke Jackson, the rising star, and he complimented his teammates for his award.
We have a lot of great players at the club. Everyone's had great years so far, and I think everyone's just playing their role to the best they can. That's what we talk about here, just playing your role to the best you can. So I think all the boys in the club have had great years so far, and we'll look to keep it going. Yeah.
As for the Lions, they have made 2 changes, with Ryan Lester forced out with a hamstring injury and Callum Archie with a groin. But they have 2 big ins. Mitch Robinson, who's missed 2 games, comes back, as does Harris Andrews, who's missed 1 with hamstring soreness. And he's a real key for the Lions and a player that I think we need to watch. He's 2nd in the comp for marks from opposition kicks, trailing Jake Lever, and 3rd for spoils. And he really sets up that back half of the ground. He loves to intercept the ball in the air, so we're going to have to keep it away from him going forward. The second player to mention is, of course, big Oscar Mcinerney. Max Gawn is certainly a capable ruckman, of course, but Mcinerney is the 2nd out of all ruckmen in the comp for clearances. He's got a really big frame and he gets after the footy, so Gawny will have his work cut out there. His fitness is going to be a real key, and that battle is certainly one that we'll have to watch. A midfielder for the Lions that I think could be really damaging is Hugh McCluggage. He's positioned out on the wing, and he's the best player in the comp at kicking the ball inside 50 and that ball being marked. So when he's running forward, the Lions forwards' eyes light up, and they're a big chance of marking the ball and kicking a goal. So going to have to pay some close attention to him. The other one that is really dangerous, particularly inside 50, is Charlie Cameron. Now, Michael Hibberd had that matchup in round 12 and did a good job. It'll be interesting to see who goes his way on Saturday night. You got Joel Smith, who's really quite athletic, could do it. Trent Rivers, Jake Bowie, lots of options. Even Stephen May, if he's getting on top. So, going to have to monitor Cameron because he's a big goal kicker and really sets up his teammates as well. Just lastly, Daniel Rich, coming off half back, he is one of the most elite kicks in the comp. In fact, he's number 1 for long kicks to advantage. So it's going to be important to monitor him, but I'll back our small forwards to really create that forward pressure and make it tough for Brisbane coming out of defence. Alex Neil-Bullen, number 1 in the competition for tackles inside 50, and Keziah Pickett, number 3. There's also Charlie Spargo, Tom McDonald, even good on the move. So if they can create some havoc, put Birchall, Rich, these elite ball users under some pressure, hopefully it will allow us to get some repeat forward entries. As far as the Lions go overall, well, they are one of the informed teams in the competition. They haven't played too many close games this year, only 3 under 15 points. We've had the 7, but they are coming off an absolute thriller where they needed that last second behind to get them the top 4 berth. Lincoln McCarthy delivered that. But the key to this battle for mine is the contested footy. It sounds like an obvious one, but both Melbourne and Brisbane are super strong in that facet of the game. And it's going to be a really different match to what we saw against Geelong last week. Geelong are the best uncontested possession team in the comp. Brisbane are the best contested team in the comp. So Geelong effectively like to keep the ball off you, chip the ball around, uncontested marks, deny you of getting those fast breaks on counter attack, whereas Brisbane just want to surge the ball forward. They're a long kick team. They love their contested marks inside 50 and giving their forwards, Dan McStay, Joe Danaher, a chance in one-on-one contests. So the backmen are going to have their work cut out, but it's going to all start in the midfield. While it is a battle between two very similar teams, there is one key difference. Brisbane are the highest scoring team in the comp, and Melbourne are the best defensive team in the comp, making for a really enthralling battle. Both teams like to score from turnovers, so that's going to be a key element, but both teams are also very good at defending the turnovers. So it should be a high turnover game, and whoever can create more opportunities to score from there will probably end up on top. The Brisbane Lions do like to attack through the corridor. They're the best team in the comp at doing that, so I think we should try to deny them of that, push them a little bit wider onto the wing, hopefully slow them down, and give our defenders a chance to set up behind the ball. In terms of the last time we played them, well, it really was a battle of two halves. The Lions were plus 20 on the scoreboard at half time and plus 18 in contested possessions, but that all turned around after the main break. We ended up kicking 7 more goals in the second half to run out winners and had plus 18 inside 50s. So a really big turnaround. It's going to be important to get a fast start against them because you don't want to be clawing that margin back in a final. One thing I noticed about that game was Devon Robertson, a young Lion, ran alongside Clayton Oliver, put a lot of pressure on him. He isn't in this 22, so it'll be interesting to see if they send a tagger, Clary or Traxway. Potentially someone like a Jared Berry could play that negating role. Worth keeping an eye on. Now, one of the big factors heading into the match and the finals series this year is that there is no pre-finals bye. I caught up with Darren Burgess, our performance manager, a little earlier to hear just what impact that will have.
Yeah, they're in a good space. We like to continue the momentum. Obviously, we had a couple of good wins leading into the finals, so it doesn't really worry us having no bye. We're happy to play this week. No problem at all. We'll fly out today. Have a little bit of walk around Adelaide Oval tomorrow morning, and then we'll be fine to go tomorrow night.
Just before we wrap things up here, I'm going to give you 4 key things to look out for. And the first is the centre clearances. Obviously, Geelong got on top of us in the second quarter last week. They ended up kicking 8 goals, and a lot of that was directly from the centre. Brisbane, they're the best team in the competition at kicking goals from centre bounces, and they were plus 6 in the first half against us in that round 12 match I mentioned a little earlier. So that's going to be key. Hopefully we can apply plenty of pressure, and if they do win those clearances, they're at least going to struggle to get good looks to their forwards, because with this 6-6-6 rule, the one-on-one contests really favour the sides who can win it straight from the source. The second point is around our young players. We've got a few finals debutants. I'm excited to see the likes of Cozzy Pickett, Trent Rivers, Luke Jackson, all in action. And we actually had the second youngest team in the competition last weekend. So it's a youthful side, but it's an exciting one. I caught up with ex-Melbourne champion Aaron Davey a little earlier in the week, and he's backing the boys to get the job done.
You know, one thing I do believe and strongly believe in is with young players, as well as Cozzy and some of those other guys, although they haven't had that finals experience behind them, I think you can never underestimate the power of the unpredictability of young kids coming through. And mate, if they're on, young guys, they will find another leg. They'll really embrace it. So it's exciting to see what's going to unfold. And if they keep playing the way they are and playing together as the team they are, I think it's going to be exciting next month for the footy club and all our supporters. So.
One of the most exciting matchups that we're going to look out for is Stephen May v Joe Danaher. It is likely to happen at some point. Danaher has kicked 45 goals this year, 1 goal at least in every single game, the only player to do that. It's going to be a pivotal one in deciding this outcome, and Stephen May, who is going to play his first final, is certainly looking forward to that.
Man, I'm so stoked and excited, nervous, because it's been 11 years, hoping that one day I'll play in a final. it's why we do this, I suppose. Everyone wants to win a flag and play in finals. So I'll certainly have my hands full with Danaher, no doubt. But playing on one of the best players in the league and on the biggest stage is it's a dream come true.
The last point, and it is a seemingly obvious one, is doing the little things well, and Jack Viney is the man I'm backing to do that. He set the tone against Geelong last week with 35 pressure acts and 9 tackles, as well as a few desperate smothers. He did it really well in the 2018 final series, and although there's no home crowd to support him this week, he has a message for the fans back home.
For our fans stuck back here in Melbourne, I just want to let you know we're thinking of you guys. We really do have you guys in our hearts at the moment, and probably seen from a lot of social media stuff or media stuff like this, we are giving reaching out to the fans, because it is something we're talking about internally about and missing out on that opportunity. So we're going to try and make you guys proud on the road.
That's all from Before the Bounce. Thanks very much for tuning in and for showing your support. We hope you enjoy the game from home, and send in your best videos via social media as you cheer the boys on.